Alrighty, and welcome back to Let's Get At It, episode 6. Today, I'm here with Jackson Mills, and Jackson is a little bit different than the first 5 guests as he is currently in Tomorrow. Jackson is an Australian native and has built quite an amazing product in Mateship. Through community hotspots, users get to see what other like-minded users are buying. When did I mention that all the customers get free shipping? That's a nice perk with Mateship. Jackson, thanks for joining.
Appreciate you having me, Drew.
For sure. I've been able to see your presence through LinkedIn pretty much as I've started to use it more and more. And it's weird what the algorithm shows you and what it doesn't. But just from the start, even though we got connected just within the past month or two, I've always kind of been watching your journey and been able to see the way that you present yourself online. And you're somebody that is not afraid to share what you're thinking, nor what you've gone through in your life. How important has a platform like LinkedIn and just sharing your message, marketing yourself been in this process for you?
Been really strong. I think, the key word of 2025 and 2026 has been you need to build a personal brand in order
Right.
separate yourself from everyone else because you are you is what they say. But yeah, it's worked well. It's attracted the right people. I enjoy it. It's good fun just sharing your thoughts, your opinions, your perspectives and your journey in an attempt to sort of help others along the way as well. Like, yeah, it's cool to grow the business and whatnot, but I enjoy helping others who also want to go down that path of, entrepreneurship or starting something of their own. LinkedIn does cop a bit of hate. They consider, the cringe platform, but if it helps someone or it brings in business, I mean, why not do it?
Yeah, cringe culture has been over for like a year and a half. I feel like if you're still on cringe, like that's something that you got to look internal on. But that's great, Jackson. And I really see that. And it's hard to lean into that. You can't just begin posting on LinkedIn and it comes to you just like that. It's a muscle you got to work out, no different than something you do in the gym. So treat it as such. Give it the time and necessary luxuries that you need to have in order to go through that.
Of course. And I mean, look at the rise of AI and ChatGPT. Anyone can type in anything to say, write me a post about giraffes. And 100,000 people can write the exact same prompt and it will spit out what they call AI slop. And it's got no personality, no independent thinking. But if you can get your tone of voice right and show a bit of your personality in your writing, I think that's what really separates you from everyone else. And people like that. They don't want to hear just generic words. They want to hear a story being told through written means.
I completely agree. That's why I'm beginning a podcast, and that's why I appreciate you for coming on. Just because it's really hard to capture your authentic self, and this is a relationship that is open to what is in the bounds now, where you can make a friend, make a connection through borders, through time zones, just because that's what you're able to do now. And that brings me to an icebreaker that I've been asking every single person. I usually lead with that, but I really wanted to begin with your LinkedIn presence just because it's strong. It really shows who you are. I really was able to know who you were before I even got into a meeting with you. But I don't know how you answer this question. If I gave you $50,000, US, Australian, however, and I ask you to turn that into $1 million in 2 months, pretty much 20x whatever currency I get you, how are you doing that? Who are you doing it with? And where are you doing it?
Now, that's a good question. I'll tell you one thing that I have learned is starting this company, Mateship. There's 3 of us in the company. I'm the one that can talk a lot and not shut up. And then we've got 2 other geniuses who are very good with numbers and maths. So the honest answer would be, I am not the best person to give $50,000 to, and then I turn that into $1 million. What I can do is I know the people that would be able to do it. So if you want to make $1 million, I can connect you with those people. I'm not the guy to take you to $1 million, but if you want an introduction to someone that can, that's what I specialize in. I can make the network, build the relationship, and I have with people that can do that. So that would probably be my answer, would be I would go and find someone in the right mindset who is a genius and knows exactly where to put the money. And there's a high chance that I know someone who can do that.
That's a lot of humility for you to come out there and say that you really couldn't do it yourself. You need a team. And I honestly love that because I will harp on this. If you know me, you know that I love team. I love sports and I love the sports that involve team. Sure, the Australian Open is going on currently in Australia. It's a tennis game and I love golf myself, but there's something different about a team sport where you really need to lean on the other guys and the other guys or girls got to lean on you. And I love that answer because you're really focusing on leveraging not just yourself, but those around you. And to be able to be a Swiss Army knife and put on a lot of different faces and code switch in that sense. Not saying being fake, but being able to turn it on and to match the energy of those you're talking to. That is a skill that AI slop will never be
Yeah, yeah.
able to achieve.
100%. And it's rare to have successful, like hyper successful solo founders these days. It's very rare. They're all in teams because if you want to create something yourself, go on a solo journey, you're up against teams as well. Like if you're entering a market, a competitive market where there's a lot of competition, they have teams. So it's going to be very, very difficult to actually, get through that. But having partners, it's good for like mental stability as well. If something's not working, you can lean on them for support, which I've found has been really, really helpful. And if you're a solo founder, man, that must be tough to try and navigate through.
If absolutely, my co-founder is everything to me. And it sounds like your co-founders are everything to you. How important
Yeah.
is team to you and to
Oh,
Mateship?
it's incredible. Probably one of the most important aspects of building a business. I know people may throw it out there just like, oh yeah, teamwork's one of our core values, but it is true, and it's how you use it. I've been fortunate enough to grow up playing a lot of team sports and being in a lot of leadership positions, so I understand what it actually takes to be involved in a team. A teamwork is owning your own piece as well. You don't have to do the entire piece of the puzzle. You just get your slice. Everyone else gets their piece. They own it. And then as a collective, that's when you work towards that common goal.
Beautifully put. Teamwork is where you have to own your own piece. And I completely agree. In the first episode, Nolan Weiss, he talked about how one woolly mammoth was able to pull 2,000 tons, call it. But when you bring two in there, you don't just pull 4,000, you can pull 10,000. And it just goes to show the exponential value of just being able to not just be a great individual, but making sure that as an individual, you can be a great teammate. And being a great teammate and being a great leader, you talk about leadership. I'm curious to hear what you have to say, but my take on leadership is not the guy who's out in front always leading the charge, saying, "Hey, you go here, and I'll do this." A leader is also somebody who's able to say, "I don't necessarily know if I can go up there and do that, but whatever you give me, I'm going to make sure my piece of the pie is completely covered." What do you think about that?
I think leaders serve. So in a previous role, I was running a team of maybe five or six in a cybersecurity team. A lot of those team members were a lot more skilled in coding and stuff than I am. Like I don't know how to code, but I could people manage. And what I mean by that is I would work for them. Like they don't work for me. Whatever they need to do their or fulfill their duties correctly and to the best that they possibly can, I would go out of my way to make sure that they can do that. So I'm not telling them what to do. I hire good people, get out of their way, and then let them do what they do best, just making sure I'm heading in the right direction with them.
Amazing to be able to see that skill in yourself. I feel like the number one step in damn near everything is awareness. And to understand and be aware of what you're good at and what the others are good at, you're going to be one hell of a leader. You already are one hell of a leader. I want to play on your team.
Well, I appreciate that. And don't get me wrong, the only way I think to learn those skills is to work for someone who does not lead like that. They manage. They're a boss. They're not a leader. So if you can work with someone like that, I know unfortunately it's going to happen at one point or another, but you understand what not to do in a way. I had some experience with that early on in my career and I was like, yeah, I don't necessarily want to be someone who leads a team like that. So yeah, that was a good learning lesson.
For sure. And the style that you take to a conversation, whether it be with your teammate or maybe even a sales call, it's difficult. It's hard to try and put on this mask of somebody who's going to almost gaslight you into buying your service when that's not your game. Your game is the smooth talker. It's not, hey, I'm telling you what to do, but it's like, imagine this, like picture a world where my service can provide this to you. That's a struggle that I face on the daily. I talked about this with Alec, my co-founder, yesterday. It's hard to not just get your foot in the door towards the beginning and getting off the ground, but it's really hard to figure out that style that works for you because you don't create something to scam others. At least I don't. Some others do. But you do it to provide value. And the way in which you deliver that, you don't want to come off as like this salesy, hey, here's like this 5 paragraph thing in this cold LinkedIn DM. Please listen and read so that I can try and make a partnership here. It's hard. And I'm curious how you take your personability style, this lighter touch, the less bossy, more leadership style to your sales approach.
Yeah, it's interesting. At the start of this whole journey, I've had no sales experience, no sales training, but I could talk a lot. I knew what people wanted to hear. I could maneuver my way into conversations, as people like to say. But yeah, it was more so like cold front. I would pitch up front. If it was a LinkedIn DM, I would just what they call pitch slap. So I would do that, not knowing how to do anything other than just say, "Oh, here's what we do. You need to join it. Here are all the benefits." But then I kind of understood, well, what's in it for them? What are they actually wanting from a piece of technology, a service? Is it something that they're actually looking for? So you can see there's a lot of really cool articles and education tips on, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I know everyone loves like watching Alex Hormozy clips and all that sort of stuff. It's more so just having a conversation. That's really how I like to take it. It's not pitching your services. It's not saying necessarily what you do. Really light touch. And we're kind of in a unique situation now where you kind of briefly mentioned it at the start, but we're in the e-com space and we're actually a two-sided marketplace, which is one of the most difficult models to master or to take off. And exactly, you'd understand that as well. So you need both the brands and the customers. In the beginning, it was just a volume game. As much as you could possibly do, volume, 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 volume. Now, as we started to get to the stage where the customer demand is coming for the brands, I have a live data feed of which brands are being requested by customers. It's a live data feed straight from our server. And then I just send that screenshot or send it's like a Notion board, it feeds in. And then I just send that to the brands and say, hey, just sharing this for context. These are your customers asking for you. If you want more information, let me know. And then I'll just send it to them. And don't say anything. Let their Slack do the talking for you.
Yeah, it's that approach. It's like I'm not trying to sell you something. I'm leading you to the water. You
Yeah.
just gotta drink it. Just drink the water, and I can assure you that we are going to deliver upon whatever you need. Yesterday, we had Jordan Winston on, who runs a street interview media company, and the way that he gets into the door is he'll make content for this big app that he connects with everybody on LinkedIn. He'll cold email all those people, but they won't reach out to him. And then he'll make the content that he knows
Yeah.
they'll love. He'll do steps like C, D, and E, and then he'll leave A, B for after he makes the content. And these people are like, "Yep, let's make a contract. Let's get formal here." And I love your approach to that because you're able to say, "Mateship, the proof's in the pudding."
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And it's don't get me wrong, it's taken a long time to get to this stage. Funnily enough, one thing I'm actually interested to talk with you about is the difference between like Australian and US culture. Because I spent about 3 months in the States like early last year or end of 2024. And there's a massive difference when it comes to business, entrepreneurship, new technology. The easiest way I can put this down to is US culture. They will say, I want to be the case study. In Australia, they say, show me the case study. It's two very different mindsets, two very different cultures where the US, they want to try new things. They want to champion entrepreneurship. They want to be the first to market with this new, really cool piece of tech. In Australia, it's a much smaller market. So what they can actually do is they can sit back and say, I'll wait for my competitor to benefit first, and then I'll try it, which is very tough if you are developing or creating a new piece of technology and then trying to sell that to someone because they're like, oh, where's the case studies? Where's all the data? And if you think about it like this, if you graduate college and you want to apply for one of the big companies in the world and they say, well, we only have entry level jobs available, but you need 3 years experience. And it's like, well, if every major organization is asking for 3 years experience for an entry level job, where do you get the 3 years experience? It's the hardest part to overcome. But when you get there, it's really, really cool.
It's a hard hump to get over.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When you build something innovative, Mateship is innovative. Free shipping, community driven sales, like everything about Mateship is what the future of e-commerce is. You know it's heading down that path. And then when you start to finally see it, if you're an e-commerce company, you're like, maybe how about you just do it for a little bit and then come talk to me? There's almost a sense of, I don't want to say entitlement, but there's not an urgency there. They're like, we're fine right now. I look at it like a U, right? Like a skateboarder. The evil of great is good. Because if you're at the bottom, there's no momentum to get up to the good, to the great. But if you're in good in the middle, you don't have the momentum to get anywhere else. You're just going to stick right here. But if you're bad and you're an e-commerce brand and you're looking for that little hump and they see you, whew, that's where you swoop in. Those are the first movers for what you're doing. I'm sure that you were able to maybe relate to that in a little bit, but then once the ball gets rolling and people start to see what they're doing, now they're going out of their way. Now you have easier case studies to show. And I think it's an interesting point because I wouldn't go as far to generalize that the US and Australia are this way, but I will go out and say that I can assume that the US is definitely more accustomed to the entrepreneur, to the innovator, to the new business with the new idea, probably more so than Australia. But still, going from 0 to 1 in that two-sided marketplace problem, it's hard to get people on the one side, and then the hard side is called the hard side for a reason. That's why Uber took so long. That's why Uber is unbelievable at what they do, and Airbnb, and the show goes on. But that's my take on it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And you're exactly right with the Ubers and the Airbnbs. Even look at eBay. Like, eBay's not a front running piece of tech. It looks like eBay. It looks like a two-sided marketplace, but they don't have to defend it. It's a marketplace. Like, once you've got product market fit, you don't need to nurture the product as much because no one can take you over. But if you enter a very crowded market with a lot of competition, you have to nurture the product. You have to update it every single time. Whereas if you're first to market, my first piece of technology or my first, I guess, ship of code or first ship of app could be the worst app you've ever seen. But because there's
Yeah.
no competition and the value's there, the consumer uses it. We just base all of our, I guess, theoretics on the laggard theory and game theory. So you've got, your early adopters, then your middle section, and then at the end you've got the laggards that join just because everyone else is on it. So we're starting to get to that middle point, which is really exciting. And then it comes down to game theory. Well, if I'm working in fashion and I have a fashion brand and I see 5 other fashion brands that are exactly like me using Mateship, I should probably think about using Mateship as well. It's
It just
perfect game
becomes
theory.
it becomes a battle of absolutes at that point. It's like if I don't do this, they have an upper hand. If I do this, I did say do there, then you are actually able to compete. You make it a even playing field, and the choice is theirs. You are looking for that. We live in a time where competition is what drives capitalism, and that is what drives innovation. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, because you're in this middle step, but that first step, really trying to go from 0 to the 1 to the 10 to the 100, it's hard when you're to be the first movers in that space because it's so innovative. But it goes to show, okay, we're on the right track here. And my question to you is, when was that moment where you knew, okay, we're doing something here. We're building something that's got a lot of traction. It's not just an idea. It's not just something that's crazy. It is real.
The first moment that you sell to you sell to a stranger, that's when you become an entrepreneur. And that's where we thought, okay, someone who we don't know, we've never met, downloaded our app, went out of their way to spend time downloading their app. They signed up, they created an account, they found a brand or a product, they delivered it and made a purchase. Like, that was the first time we were like, oh my God, this is actually something that could work. It was obviously the first time, but at the start, you have to do things that don't scale. That's every startup. Like you just can't scale it out. You have to do things that do not scale. So as an example, myself and my co-founder, we printed off flyers and we stood in the middle of Sydney CBD handing out flyers to professionals. And let me tell you, that's the most humbling experience you could ever go through. People do not want to talk to you. They don't want to buy of you. It's early in the morning. People just want to get to work, sit at their desk and have their coffee. If you want to hand out flyers, wait till people have their coffee first. Just a little tip. But what they would do is they would take our flyer, they would go to their office, they would sit down at their desk, and we could see people downloading the app in real time. They saw the flyer, they saw value in it, and then downloaded the app. That's when we were like, okay, this is really cool. And then people started making purchases, which just added fuel to the fire. And it's awesome. I mean,
It's remarkable because I'm sure that it was a lot easier to get people on when they're like free shipping in your area on every e-commerce product that you buy on our app. All of a sudden they're like, I might as well see what they got. Because that's a really cool thing for them to go on there to have the interest. There's the CAC, and then to have the LTV to see the value, to stay. I don't know what those numbers are, but it's probably really cool and gratifying to see the download, the first purchase, but then every purchase after that, because you are now a part of their purchasing habits. That's probably an amazing feeling.
that's exactly right. You hit the nail on the head. Like purchasing habits. What we're doing is we're actually seeing a shift in behavior. When someone makes a purchase through Mateship, they come back and they make another one. The retention is there. Obviously, the first thing is to get people using your app, but if they don't stay, then it's kind of very hard to scale it out. But when someone makes a purchase, they come back. And it's like one of the most exciting feelings ever. If you look at any report for the last 10 years in e-commerce or retail, the number one reason someone doesn't make a purchase is they get to checkout and they see a shipping fee. Why has no one solved this problem yet? Because it is the most difficult problem to solve, which is why no one's done it. It's the same as like with ads. If you want to start an e-com brand, you get a product, you run ads. That's it. The most important point in e-com is the purchase. If you strip everything back, is someone buying from you? Yes. Well, if they are, you want that customer to tell as many people as possible because word of mouth trumps every other piece of marketing that's ever been invented. Ads, influencers, reviews. And with AI, that's all just becoming slop as well. Fake reviews, fake ads, influencers getting paid to promote a product they don't even like. And people are now sniffing that out. They're getting very suspicious. What can't you fake? A real purchase by a real person. And what we do is we just say, hey, there's customers buying from you. We want to help more people see that because people trust people. And that's what we're about. And it's building a community. So, and if you can add free shipping to it, hey, it's a pretty good value proposition if I'm a consumer shopping online.
I have no idea how you guys came up with it, but it's one of those where you see it and you start seeing it not just be there, but you see it breathe and you start to see it work. And you're like, yeah, there's no coincidence, Jackson, that this is where it's at with the velocity of growing. This is just the start. And I'm super happy to be able to just, I'm hearing it. This is the raw, authentic piece. This is why you do it. This is why we get at it. This is the whole purpose of the podcast. And I also think of life. And my question to you is, how do you get at it on the daily? Yes, you have Mateship and you attack the day, but like, how do you attack the day? What does Jackson Mills do that attacks the day?
Well, it's not the traditional startup influencer entrepreneur where, they get up and they dive in the ocean and they go to Pilates and they do whatever. I get up probably about 7 in the morning every day after a long night. I'm a big coffee drinker. I'm not addicted to it. I just like the taste. A lot of
Do you
people
like
say, "Oh
flat
no,
white?
yeah, flat white, skinny flat white," because skinny. Got to watch my figure. Um, I'll get in. I'll just go for the little stroll, little walk, and then crack into LinkedIn. Obviously, we mentioned LinkedIn at the start. It's a big part of my personal brand and the growth of the company, particularly from the brand side of things and the community building side of things. LinkedIn's where it's at. Respond to emails, whatever it might be. And then I'm a big believer in moving my body, exercise. I've been fortunate enough to, represent Australia at the highest level. So I have an addiction to training and being better than yesterday. So I'm always in the gym, mainly around 12 o'clock. And that gives me a little pump, a little high feeding into the afternoon. And then maybe a little light jog in the evening. So I'm actually quite fortunate. We live along the river in Brisbane, so it's quite a nice outlook. But I'm always on. I'm always thinking, even if I'm training or I'm running, I'm always thinking about mateship. It's one of the things I hate about being an entrepreneur, but it's also one of the things I love being about a business leader. Is your mind's always on, thinking of new things, and I find running and exercise is a way to really clear my thoughts and to bring structure into ideas that I have going on. And yeah, that's really what makes me tick, and it's always about bettering myself from yesterday.
The endorphins that you release and the constant thought that you're able to keep rolling is such a healthy thing. I mean, there's never going to be a day where you're not working on something because you're an athlete. I'm curious what sport you competed with or at the top at the highest level.
It's touch football, so it's similar to rugby sevens or flag football, just without the flags.
Gotcha. That's
It's a
amazing.
very fast paced sport.
Yeah. So you got some burners. That's why you like to run.
Getting a bit older now, but yeah, let's say that.
It's great. I mean, I was a baseball player and I loved being able just to be around a team and it's hard to do that, but like you can go play basketball at a gym or I just worked out with
Mm,
my co-founder and it was like a half run, half weights. And it just that is so important.
exactly right. And I put up this post yesterday on LinkedIn, and you're talking about, people hate LinkedIn, people love it, but I put up, if you are under the age of 25, do these things to be able to have conversations with anyone. And I just said, try more things. I mean, you're probably very similar to my upbringing, where you just try different sports, you try different things, you try different experiences. And with all of those experiences, it is more likely that you will have something in common with the person that you're trying to build a relationship with, the new network, the new event that you're at. You know what I'm talking about. So
Well, not
just
I don't just
try.
know what you're talking about. I'm feeling it because I don't know what you did growing up. Neither did you know what
Yeah,
I did. But I can read it. That's why we can talk about it. And look, athletics, it's a culture thing. It's a personal thing. It's individual. It's a mental thing. And when you can be able to bond with that with somebody else, that's a beautiful thing.
of course. And I mean, it's not just sports or athletics. Do musicals, do drama, try singing, try playing an instrument, go to different countries. Like with all of these experiences, you can just connect with so many more people.
I definitely am not as well versed in the drama or music space, but I'm never afraid to have a bad time. That's my number one thing. Like I'll go do a new task. I'll go eat some new food. I want to go to a new country all the time. Alec and I are moving into Miami in the next 2 weeks and we're just on Airbnbs and I think we're just going to let it roll. We're just going to keep going. Let's see where you
Yeah,
know, where the
come come
yellow brick
come to
road takes
Australia.
us.
Come see some big spiders.
Yeah, no, I definitely will be. Absolutely. Or how big are the spiders there, like for real?
There was one in my room last night, and I was panic stations. Like you could like the cut sometimes the size of your palm. Like they're
That's
they're pretty
so
big.
ridiculous. I mean, I had
The
a tarantula in college, and that thing was massive.
Well, you had a pet tarantula.
Yeah, her Caratrix, she was beautiful.
Mm.
Try new things, right, Jackson? Try new things. I
Hey,
did.
I'm not yucking anyone's yum, but I at spiders, that's kind of where I draw the line, just from personal reasons.
Look, I wouldn't really touch her that much. We tried to bring her out once, and that was the last time we tried. And it's a magnificent creature, but I don't think that she liked living in a box. And that's maybe something that we should take to our own lives. All right, I love to ask this question. It's a basketball one. It's Jordan LeBron, but I'm going to ask you one more question, and I really am curious about how you're going to answer this. And it boils down to this: what governs your soul?
That's deep, man.
It is a deep one.
As in, like, what brings me happiness?
It's kind of like tangentially. Would you consider yourself spiritual? And interpret that as you may.
Mm, I'd say to an extent. I love to wish things into existence. or manifest. A lot of things that I have tried to wish into existence or manifest have actually come true. Like if I look back maybe 3 years, I am exactly in the position that I've always dreamed I've been in. Starting an own business, co-founding a tech company, meeting new people over the internet, doing new things that don't scale to really try and grow a company. That's where I've always wanted to be. And I've always dreamt about that, spoken to people about that, manifested into existence. I believe that if you want it enough and manifest it enough, you can definitely make it happen.
One of the guys that I had on here, he talked about like when you put it out into existence verbally or you write it down, I believe the universe will conspire to make it happen. And there's a piece within us that is connected to the universe because if it created us, there's a piece of us around always. We subconsciously will work towards that. We're humans. We're smart. We adapt. We're really, really smart when you compare us to any other animal that's ever lived on this planet. And I think it's a beautiful thing to be aware that you have control over your destiny. There's no surprise to why you're able to build something, to have this outlook on life, and to keep going. You're not stopping here. It's a constant trajectory. Look, progress is non-linear. However, you know that the boat never stops as long as you just keep the engine running.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I love that. You hit the nail on the head. It seems you've given this like a lot of thought. I appreciate that. I love it.
Yeah, look, I think it's fascinating to hear about it. And I mean, this is what I do. I'm learning myself. I write the black just to outline it, but I got my little pink pen here. I can really digest it that way. You have been an outstanding guest, Jackson. And when I'm down in Australia, I know it's a massive continent, but I know everyone's kind of on that like eastern sliver. So when I get over there at some point in time in the next year or two, I'm going to hit you up and we're going to get ourselves some flat whites, skinny flat whites. How's that sound?
Yeah, Matt. All for it. Absolutely
Amazing.
all for it.
All right. Well, Jackson, I really appreciate you for coming on. You've been an absolute treat. And I'm Drew Ruckham, signing off. Peace.